What's going on, guys? My name's Shane. I'm a big baseball fan. Welcome back to 3 Up, 3 Down. In this video, we are talking about some early season Major League Baseball trade fits. We're going to talk about 9 different possibilities that are out there to help some of the contenders that are struggling and to build up some of these rebuilding teams with some more prospects. But before we get into that video, how do you like the new camera? How do you like the new setup? It's not quite done yet. There's a Kevin Pillar jersey to go there. There's some other things to be hung up. But welcome to 3 Up, 3 Down. I hope you have a great time. Let's talk some trades. Let's go. Now, it's always tough to make trade predictions early in the season, but the first team I took a look at that really needs a boost in terms of starting pitching is the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals have the offense. We saw that last year. It really carried them to division title, but this year their starting pitching has been atrocious, and their bullpen's been bad too, but trying to fix the rotation I think is where they have to start. Miles Mikolas hasn't been the answer. Jack Flaherty is walking too many guys. Adam Wainwright's hurt. So the guy I'm looking towards is Colorado Rockies starter Germán Marquez. It's time for the Rockies to move on from Marquez and get a package that they can appreciate and get some prospects to rebuild their system further. And I think moving Marquez to the Cardinals is their best bet. He's dealing with a bit of a forearm strain at time recording, but is expected back soon. So I think Germán Marquez would fit very well in St. Louis. A little bit more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark and give him some opportunities to really flourish in St. Louis with this team, with the defense, with the offense. I think Germán Marquez makes a lot of sense for the Rockies. When you take a look at a trade package coming back the other way, the Cardinals have some nice prospects that they could give up in terms of some value. Maybe a right-hander like Michael McGreevy, who's at AAA, a nice-looking starting pitcher there. A couple of catching prospects because I know the Rockies are a little down in that area. Ivan Herrera and Leonard Bernal. Bernal's a lot younger in the A-ball league. Ivan Herrera is getting closer at AAA, but with Wilson Contreras already signed long-term for the next 5 years for the Cardinals, they may become more expendable, especially Herrera, to be able to make this type of acquisition for the Cardinals. Another would be shortstop Jonathan Mejia. It seems like Mason Wynn is looking to be the long-term guy at shortstop for the Cardinals if Tommy Edman needs to be moved at all, or potentially maybe moved another trade. But for right now, I think the Cardinals really need to acquire some starting pitching. I think Germán Marquez makes a lot of sense. There's some value there for the Rockies. If they can get multiple prospects back, you start looking at the trade value. I'm not saying they're trading for all 4 of these guys in terms of the values, but a guy like Herrera combined with McGreevy, or maybe a Bernal combined with McGreevy, makes a lot of sense for the Rockies in this type of move because they're not going to win with Germán Marquez on the roster. Time to make a move. The other place the Cardinals could look for in terms of starting pitching is San Francisco. I think the NL West has no place of business for the San Francisco Giants to think they're going to win this year. The Diamondbacks, Padres, and Dodgers are all far superior. The Giants have a lot of experienced starting pitchers. It's time to look at maybe moving out and acquiring some assets. The Giants need to get younger. They're not a young team. They have far too many older players on contracts, especially when you look at their pitching. But I think they need to start looking at moving out some of these guys. And they are struggling right now. But guys like Ross Stripling, Sean Manaea, Anthony DeSclafani, Alex Cobb, any one of these guys would be a asset on the trade market right now or further down the line as we approach the trade deadline. But early in the season, I think the Cardinals really need to strike, and the Giants are the team they should be targeting in terms of some pitching along with the Rockies. Outside of these two teams, there isn't a lot of starting pitching that I would expect to be on the market. So right now, I think the Cardinals really need to jump at this. And if they're going to jump, they've got to send some young assets the other way. And I think there's some young players out there that the Giants could be very interested in. The Cardinals have some young starting pitching in their farm system. Guys like Bryson Motts, Pete Hansen, Alec Willis. Any of these young starting pitchers could be used in a package to acquire one of the Giants pitchers. When you look in terms of value, obviously the Cardinals are getting a bit of a boost here, but I think they need to pay a premium in terms of their young players. The value is not there for the Cardinals, but I think this is the type of desperation move we're getting to where the Cardinals need to get some starting pitching, and this is the type of trade that makes sense for them. Yes, they've got some young starting pitchers they'd be giving up, but they have to make this type of move if they're going to contend this year. The question is, do they feel they can contend? And the way the division is shaping up, they better get to it or they're going to be falling far behind, especially with the way the Milwaukee Brewers are playing. Our number 3 move I would like to see proposed out there is between a couple of contenders, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers' middle infield has become a mess with the injury to Gavin Lux. Chris Taylor and Miguel Rojas have not been the answer there. Mookie Betts has moved into shortstop to play games there, but he's far better suited in second base or right field. I think the answer could be looking towards Toronto, where the Toronto Blue Jays have far too many players trying to fill in at second base. Whit Merrifield, Cavan Biggio, and Santiago Espinal. And I think the guy the Dodgers should be interested in should be Santiago Espinal. Espinal is a terrific defender at shortstop. You just haven't seen it yet because he hasn't played a lot of it at the major league level. But he's a quality defender, and he was an all-star last year. The bat is there. If he gets consistent at bats, he can be an all-star level middle infielder. And I think that's the type of player on a young contract that the Dodgers should be interested in because it keeps their payroll down for them to take a shot at Shohei Ohtani in the offseason. Now, going the other way, the Toronto Blue Jays need some younger starting pitching right on the cusp of the major league level. I think guys that would, in terms of value going back the other way, would be a guy like Ryan Pepiot, Nick Nastrini. Both of these are young starting pitchers that are very much on the cusp of being on the major league level and cracking through there. But the Dodgers have a lot of those young prospects that way. A guy like Bobby Miller is already there for the Dodgers and expecting to hit that major league level. So trading away some starting pitching depth at the young level for a young middle infielder, this seems like a win-win for both sides. Yes, you're giving up on some young quality talent on both sides, so there is some risk there, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Espinal would be a very good fit in the middle infield. Pepiot or Nastrini would be a very good fit on that depth end, right at the next level, the major league level, for starting pitching for the Blue Jays, where they don't have any depth, because we're not trusting on a guy like Nate Pearson to start this year. So Pepiot, Nastrini, one of those guys for Santiago Espinal makes a lot of sense for me. And yes, this would be a 1-for-1 deal. I know I have it on there as both players, but I wanted to show the value to make it match. So a 1-for-1 for one of these types of players makes a lot of sense. Let's get even farther with contender for contender. How about Cardinals Dodgers getting together in a deal? Again, Dodgers need middle infield help. Again, Cardinals need starting pitching help. What balances in terms of value? How about a guy like Tommy Edman who can fill in at second or short and be a dynamic defender and can really hit the top of the lineup, a lot of speed? How about coming back the other way from the Dodgers, maybe a Dustin May or prospect Bobby Miller? The value balances itself out. There's a lot of risk in a trade like this, but this could really elevate both teams. I think the Cardinals really need some young starting pitching, and a guy like Dustin May coming in or Bobby Miller trying to crack through and really influencing the major league rotation. That makes a lot of sense for the Cardinals to take that risk. And going the other way, the Dodgers, and getting Tommy Edman in terms of a middle infielder. Wow, what a trade 1-for-1 this would be. Yes, I have both players on the trade page here, but it would be a 1-for-1 type trade. We're not talking about trading May and Miller. That doesn't make any sense that way. Just showing the value 1-for-1. I think this is a great hypothetical trade for both sides. Our next potential trade, let's go to the outfield. And the teardown of the Oakland A's is still ongoing, so it's time to move out Ramon Laureano. And who's looking for outfield help? How about division rival, the Texas Rangers? I think Texas could use a real boost in the outfield. Their numbers in the early start of the season have not been good. Adolis Garcia just hit 3 home runs in a game just recently, but he and the rest of the outfield numbers have not been great in Texas. They've got a dynamic offense coming from their infield, but they need some support from the lower parts of the lineup, and Ramon Laureano would be a very good fit there, as well as being a tremendous defender in either center or right field for Texas. I think this would make a lot of sense for the Rangers. As for the A's, we know they're tearing down. We're trading off all these young players, but they're bringing in quality young talent as well, even younger and more controllable years. So when you start taking a look at Texas, what can they maybe move out? Well, Texas has a lot of young starting pitching on the rise, but they also have a lot of established stars at the major league level. So maybe a case where Texas can move out some young starting pitchers. How about young guys like Brock Porter or Cole Winn? These are the types of young stars they could move out. I don't see Texas moving off of Jack Leiter or Kumar Rocker, but if they move out a guy like Porter and Winn in a trade for Laureano, this would establish themselves as a win-now team in the major leagues, while still not really affecting that depth of young starting pitching by keeping around guys like Leiter and Rocker. So I think Texas can deal from a strength here, and Oakland can continue to build a starting pitching core for another day. Sticking with that Texas Rangers theme, I think another outfield they could look to acquire would be Joc Pederson of the San Francisco Giants. Joc can fill in the outfield. He can give you some games at DH. He's got a lot of power, a left-handed hitter to continue to spread that lineup out in terms of righty-lefty balance. Now, Joc's contract might affect this a little bit. I think there needs some money going from the Giants as well to balance this trade out. Maybe for a starter like a Cole Winn, that kind of middle-of-the-road prospect about the 10th, 12th level for the Texas Rangers going back to the Giants. I think the Giants once again need to continue to establish some more younger starting pitching, just younger players in general to improve their team, to give themselves more athleticism. Joc Pederson doesn't really answer that bell right now. It was a good trade piece for the future, so I could see Joc Pederson ending up, especially early on, in Texas with the Rangers and adding that power bat there. The big question will be the contract. Do you need to move some money back and forth? That would be a question for another day. If we're going to look at moving out Joc Pederson, another team that would have to be interested would be the Atlanta Braves and returning the Pearls back to Atlanta. Joc Pederson had a tremendous run in 2021 in helping get the Atlanta Braves to that World Series championship. I think he'd fit very well in the DH spot. It's almost time for the Braves to give up on this Marcell Ozuna experiment. It's just not working out anymore. I think Joc coming in, playing some left field, playing some DH, adding some more thump to that Braves lineup from the DH spot would make a lot of sense. Now, the contract doesn't work as well that way in terms of money because Atlanta is pushing up against more of the penalty thresholds, so there may be some cash considerations to have to go one way or the other to balance this out. A guy I've looked to move back in terms of Atlanta, back to the Giants, would be a prospect like Rodri Munoz. Munoz is having a very good start to the year in AAA. I think would be a really dynamic young starting pitcher in the Giants organization and would get more opportunity in the Giants organization to move themselves up the ladder. I think this trade would work for both teams. The Giants just need to establish more younger players. We've already talked about that. The Braves getting Joc Pederson a thumping bat in the middle of that lineup would be a big step up. Our last trade idea also considers the Atlanta Braves stepping up their DH spot, getting rid of Marcell Ozuna, and that would be again trading with the Colorado Rockies. We're going full circle here, people. How about CJ Cron? Like I've talked about, the Rockies are not winning this year. They're not winning next year. It's time to start moving out some of these veteran players and acquiring some more assets. Rodri Munoz or some other young pitching prospects, maybe even some outfield prospects coming back to the Rockies makes a lot of sense. CJ Cron fits that DH spot very well. He can also spell Matt Olson at first base some, and kind of a combination there, DH first base, where they both have those bats in the lineup. It adds another big-time power right-handed bat to that Braves lineup. Again, I think the Braves are going to make a move here somewhere. It's just going to be all about money and can they balance off the assets that way to make sure they're not being penalized anymore in terms of salary cap. Because let's face it, they're not the Mets, but CJ Cron would make a lot of sense here to boost that Atlanta lineup. Even though it's been so good right now, I expect it to get even better as they make an early season trade. This is my idea for them to fill that DH spot. Future Major League Baseball GM right here. You know I love talking trades in Major League Baseball. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. Make sure you comment down below what types of trades you're looking forward to this Major League season and what your team could do to improve themselves. As always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as we try to defeat the YouTube algorithm and spread 3 Up, 3 Down across the internet. Until next time, make sure you go check out some other videos. Got a fantasy baseball video that's come out lately. Make sure you go check it out. We have a lot of fun talking fantasy baseball around here. And until next time, maybe check out a YouTube short. Take care, everyone.